Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Becca's Backyard, where I, Becca, share with you my inside thoughts outside here in my backyard. Um, Another gorgeous October day today in short sleeves, although the weather tells me that won't be the case for very long. And I'm sitting here with you guys today, and I had kind of an interesting morning about how to get to what it is that I'm going to talk about. So I was feeling really mopey. In fact, it's really 2 hours later than when I usually record these things, because I just couldn't get motivated this morning. I was feeling like, I don't want to do anything. I have all of these responsibility things to do, and I also had this to do, and a few work things to do, and I was like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to shower. I didn't want to do anything. So I started to really kind of look into myself as to why I was feeling so completely unmotivated. I had a fantastic day yesterday. Did a good hike, went on a little bit of an adventure. We got the van on the road, so that was cool. And I was just trying to figure out where it was coming from. So I was like, oh, I'll go do the video. They're usually fun. And then I couldn't figure out what I wanted to talk to you guys about. And then I realized, well, I'm going to talk to you about why I think I'm feeling unmotivated today. And that is my good friend and co-occurring condition, anxiety. I think that's what's going on for me. So tomorrow morning, I'm going on another trip. I know it's crazy. This is part of this whole conversation too, actually. I'll get to it. So I'm going on another trip. And one of the reasons that I started doing traveling with work was that it was a really good way to kind of be in a space where you could meet a lot of people who are doing what you're doing. But I was never really a big fan of travel. It always gave me anxiety. And I think it's something that naturally gives people on the spectrum anxiety because it's a very crowded thing. It's very overwhelming sensory-wise. It's a change in your routine all the time. You may or may not be going places you don't know. Any number of reasons. Food you don't know. All of those fun things for us. But yeah, so travel can be exhausting, and knowing how exhausting it's going to be or how challenging it may be also can give you that kind of pre-anxiety. So that's kind of what I think is going on, because even though I do now travel a lot, one of the things that I do for myself, or a few of the things that I do for myself in terms of supporting myself through the anxiety of travel and through the overload of travel by, and you know him quite well, I'm sure if you follow my feed, Sir Walter Underfoot. Yes, Sir Walter Underfoot of the Socks. And yeah, he's trained to be an emotional support animal, and he flies with me, and he's allowed to stay in the hotels that I stay in. And in that way, he is one of my travel supports. And the other thing that I usually think, I have with me, I usually have my husband Antonio with me. He's a fantastic support for me. He helps me in terms of not getting overwhelmed as to where I'm walking and getting lost. And also to help me with handling Walter, because it's not a one-person job, and I certainly can't do the other part of my job, which is presenting and speaking with people and meeting them if I'm needing to also take care of Walter's needs. So I usually have the two of them with me, and that used to be more difficult than it is now. People are getting more used to, and they ask those of us who are professional advocates to come to meetings, be at places, do presentations, understanding that we usually come with accommodations. And I've gotten braver about asking for my accommodations, letting people know that I usually travel with both of them. And other than that, I don't usually require much more accommodation. So I do that really brave thing, which used to make me incredibly uncomfortable, and ask for my accommodations. If they are covering my airfare, I ask that the airfare for Walter and Antonio get covered, as well as hotel accommodations and car services, stuff like that, which I used to feel bad asking for that because those things are expensive. But then on the other hand, if I don't have those things, then I really can't go and do my job. And I was paying the price. So that's how I've learned to kind of accommodate. And the other thing that I do for myself in terms of travel is the day before I travel, which is today for me, I usually do a really, really light day, and light social day, mostly, meaning, no getting dressed fancy to go out into the world, no grocery shopping or adulting or things like that, but chores that I can do in the house, spending time in my comfort zone with the animals and people that I love, and just really kind of not asking too much of myself or stressing, my sensory things like that. And I pack, and that's about really all that I do. So it's kind of new to me to be making these videos as part of my pre-travel, because for some reason I thought Sunday would be a super good day to make these videos, but I seem to be traveling a lot on a Monday. But that's another thing. So then it got me thinking, well, yeah, there's a lot of anxiety that comes with it, and maybe I'm doing too much traveling. Maybe, in looking at my schedule for coming up in November, I've really a little bit overloaded my plate. And now that I live where I want to be living and that I want to come home to, I don't want to leave so much. So what are some things I could be changing in terms of what I'm choosing to do with my career, where I'm spending my work time? And can I make changes so that I'm not doing as much traveling? So that's something I'm going to be working on for myself in the next coming year, and making future plans, is to not be doing quite so much traveling. There's so much technology around that can really allow us to do things remotely. And there's some stuff here in Denver I'm excited to get working on. And I don't want to be going out there into the world unless it's something I really want to be working on. So that's going to be a shift I'm going to start working on for myself this coming year. But what I really want to get to is the reason that I think I'm having so much anxiety is because this time I'm traveling alone. So yeah, I asked for my accommodations and they were accommodated. Walter and Antonio could have come with me on this trip, but as you noticed, I've been doing a lot of traveling, and they've been coming with me a lot. And what that means for us on the sidelines is that there's other expenses that come into play. So while their travel gets covered, nobody's paying for our pet care at home with the 6 cats, and Penny if she's staying home. So I have to have somebody come in and do that, and that costs money. And just setting everything up at home and making sure that everybody has what they need costs money. And then you're eating somewhere different, so you can't do meal prep in quite the same way. So there are other expenses that come along with travel. And so for us, and looking at what I have to do, because I really have to be away for a day, was it worth it for us to kind of pack everybody up and uncoordinate the whole household just for this one thing, where neither of them really needed to be, other than I truly need them for the travel. So what we decided as a family was to pick the ones that I really needed them to come with me on. And then I would see if I can hang a few of them alone. So I'm doing a couple more coming up alone. I'm doing this one tomorrow alone. And I think that's giving me anxiety, because I used to travel alone, which was better than traveling with my family, because that gave me a lot of anxiety. Didn't know I was as good a traveler as I am until I traveled alone. So that is always okay. But, I know I can do it, but it's been a long time. So see, I've created these supports for myself in my life. And so kind of undoing them and going back to other coping mechanisms or other supports that worked when I was alone and I didn't have the current supports I have available to me. And so that's what I think I'm anxious about, traveling alone. Worried if I can still do it. Worried if I'll be able to handle it, if I'll be so exhausted when I come home. I don't know. So I think all of those unknowns, and the fact that I haven't done it in quite some time, is giving me some anxiety. And that, for me, when it's big anxiety like this, turns into inertia, or non-motivation, not being able to even get started on anything, forget anything having to do with your travel. So I think this morning I was really experiencing that inertia that comes with anxiety. And what I did about it was decide that I was going to talk to you guys about it, because talking about it and sharing what's going on is kind of my mission with everything. And if I don't share it with you guys, there's no point, there's no learning from it. So yeah, that was first step. And the second step was to say, well, what things do I really have to do today? And can I do them in some sort of order where I can kind of get them out of the way and still leave myself with a bunch of time? And so I did that. I kind of reorganized my day. I talked it out with Antonio. I said, oh, what if I do it in this order? Can we get this done? In hopes that when I'm done with this video, in about an hour or so, I'll be able to sort of turn off for the day. All of my chores being done, everything I needed to do out in the world done, and I can go ahead and put myself right into a binge of whatever Halloween thing I feel like finding today. So, and fully kind of take advantage of a recharge day or a pre-charge day, which I'll put that blog somewhere. I've written about it, so check it out, what I do with my pre-charge day. I did it on Living Positively Autistic on Geek Club Books, so you can definitely find it there. But yeah, so that's what's going on for me today. Those are my thoughts, my inside thoughts outside here today. Let me know what you think. Do any of you guys have anxiety or a co-occurring condition that gives you inertia? And if so, what do you do about it? That's some of the things that I've chosen to do about it. Let me know if what I'm doing works for you. I don't know. Let me know. Leave me comments. Let me know you're watching, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for watching.